Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So this video, we're going to discuss about my experience interviewing with JP Morgan London and Glasgow. What did happen? What interview rounds were there? And what was the final outcome? How is the company structured? What is JP Morgan looking to do in the next few years? Where are they investing money, talent, and budgets in? So we're going to look at everything in detail. Let's jump right into it. Before we start, let's have a look what will I be covering in this video. So we'll start with JP Morgan context. What does the company do? What are the engineering levels and the structure? Is JP Morgan investing in AI and ML currently at this moment? The interview process overview. The different 5 rounds, we'll talk about them each in detail, what was asked, what was expected, and we'll also talk about the offers and final outcome. And in the end, we'll wrap up things with learnings and key takeaways and what can be done different. So, JP Morgan is a global investment bank. They have big presence all over the world. Their strongest presence is, of course, in the US with their global headquarters in New York. The European headquarters is based out of London. So, London is a very important location for JP. Have a huge office, and by huge, I mean huge in Canary Wharf. And teams are domain based. As usual, in an investment bank, you'll have traders, you'll have all the core IT teams, all the AIML teams. They are extremely process driven, very engineering heavy, good for engineers. They are a bank who believes that tech is very important to them, and that is very good news for us as engineers. So, talking about their engineering structure, their engineering is definitely first class among the banks. It's one among the sought roles, like craves to join JP. The hierarchy is extremely clear. They have associate level, which is software engineering 2, senior associate, software engineering 3, VP. I'm not very sure if they have a AVP level, but they definitely have a VP, which is similar to a lead level, and executive director and managing director. Teams are very domain focused, as I mentioned, and the interviews I gave was Glasgow. I'm speaking about them. Is more of a process IT, while London is more of sit near front office, which is so London is where most of the business happen, but that does not mean that often collaborates a lot with London. Of course, a lot of global teams as well. So, in terms of AI and ML, JP is currently investing a lot in terms of manpower, budgets, and even investing in different AI teams, different products within the business. The team I interviewed for was the applied AI ML space. They had two parallel teams. One is email AI and Docker AI. So those two teams are doing something groundbreaking for JP. They our team has data scientists and AI engineers, scientists for all the prototyping, and the AI engineers for building out the platform, building out the servers, deployments, and basically all the system engineering for the data scientists. Because data scientists only know the prototype, they do not know how to scale a product or a service users. So there is where JP is investing a lot. So in terms of rounds, 4 to 5 rounds is a bit long. Takes about 3 weeks, but you should know that JP Morgan's the people who work in JP, are extremely fast, very ambitious, very fast. They just don't like wasting time. That HR is very efficient. That's very rare industry. The process is a mix of culture fit, coding, system design, managerial thinking, very standard software engineering interview. So the round one is ideally with a tech lead or VP, they call it. So it's only 30 minutes, focuses on your background, your team fit, your past projects, They ask you a few technical questions as well, but those are very high level. They don't generally delve deep into something, but they definitely see how you're thinking, how you're speaking, how you're communicating. So make sure you do that well. So the next round is live coding or pair programming. In this round, you either get a VP or an executive director. It really depends on the level that you are applying for. Now, in this case, you rarely get data structure rounds. I'm not sure. The 3 times I've given programming interviews at JP, I've always been asked a low-level design problem. It can range something from a supermarket problem to coding a queue to coding a rate limiter. And I've been asked to design them and code them in front of them, discussing all the trade-offs, the pros and cons of why I chose something over something. The most important thing I find here is, yes, coding is there, but communication is equally important. It's extremely important that you keep speaking what you're thinking. And when you think aloud, that's when the interviewer knows that how you're thinking. Because when you don't speak or when you keep yourself shut, it's quite hard for the interviewer to assess you. So next is the system design. Now they focus extremely on what they need. So highly possible that you might get a different question. The question I had was design queue, and how would now those queues have to run multiple processes. Now those might be a data science process, some AI process, which has to run in the background. Now these background jobs can take from few minutes to a lot of hours because it's very background heavy and very CPU intensive. There's a lot of things going on. So now the task was to design a system which could handle those and which could continuously monitor and give access to logs of what that process had run. Also progress of any process. It's all about designing the end-to-end system. Now they definitely check for to be a production system, not just a random system which can just run MVPs. So they definitely expect very high throughput systems only. Now the last one might be around with the ED, which is the executive director. Generally consists of how do you handle conflicts, management, how do you deal with non-technical people, how do you make decisions, what did you do when you had a disagreement. So there's the emphasis is a lot on communication, but you should note that this person is also technical, so there might be some questions the technical side of things as well, but largely it's on the managerial and behavioral aspect. Now this is an optional round. Ideally someone who you'll be working with. It's not necessarily your team, but a team which your team might interact quite a lot. This does not always happen, but it happens when team needs information. The role is cross-team. So as I mentioned, the AI roles interact with data scientists and the AI engineering team itself. Sometimes there's also this discussion on which level you join. Let's say there's a confusion between you joining software engineer 2 or software engineer 3. Those are the few situations where this round is so that you can be correctly assessed on the level you're joining. Note that you should always try and join in the level that you correctly fit in. Never join the levels which are lower to you. One is you'll have a lower salary threshold, and the other is you have to work that one promotion to get to the next level. Every level is tied directly to a band, and you should make sure that the salary band correctly reflects your level and your level of experience. So coming to the offers and final outcome, the offers completely depend on the level you're in, the team you have interviewed for, other people salaries in the team, and of course the location. Now salaries in London would be more than Glasgow team. The compensation structure consists of three major parts. The sign on is something which may or may not be, depending upon the person, the individual, and the time of applying. So it's generally a base, a bonus, and a sign on. Now, sign on is when you are missing something. That is, let's say you're missing your bonus for the year by coming on board JP. That is where they compensate you with a sign on. The process was very transparent. The HRs are quite quick to get on with the process. The offer letter generation is quite quick as well. So you should expect extremely low latency with JP, even though they are a huge firm. My learnings and takeaways are extremely simple. JP Morgan values fundamentals. They expect you to know the basics extremely well. Communication is extremely important. Consistency and your problem solving approach, making it clear to the interviewer and keeping them by your side throughout the interview process is extremely important. You have to prepare for real world engineering. Problems they give you are nowhere and can be found nowhere. So you have to optimize for real world thinking. You have to think on the spot. How will you solve something? What will you use? What data structures will you use? What design systems? How will you design the low level design if you're talking about system and design? So you have to have a structured approach on how you approach your interviews. So JP Morgan is definitely a place for good growth, long-term growth. They are investing huge amount of money, budget, and teams into AI. So we'll definitely see a lot of change, especially in the financial space, where JP Morgan is spearheading in the space, clearly. I hope you learned something new from this video. I hope it was useful to a few of you. And if you're applying to JP Morgan, do let me know down in the comments. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. I'll see you in another video.